This is the Discovery Files podcast from the U.S. National Science Foundation. As the population grows and resources get stretched thinner, the availability of potable drinking water becomes more of a concern. We spoke with Seamus Osden, a former postdoctoral research associate at the Princeton Center for Complex Materials. While working at the lab, he contributed to the development of an aerogel filter that uses eggs as an ingredient and can remove both salt and microplastics from water, dramatically increasing the potential water supply. Dr. Osden, what is an aerogel?
Aerogels are porous materials with ultra-low density. Typically, in gel, you remove the liquid part and replace that with gas or air. These materials to be ultra-lightweight, and these are called aerogels.
How did you come to the idea of using eggs in an aerogel?
I was working on polymer composite aerogels of 2D layered materials, and one day Craig Arnold and Rodney Priestley, PIs I was working with, came and he asked if we can use bread using graphene and use them for energy storage. After a lot of trial and error, we found that it was not working. And then we shifted to different sources. Previously, I used egg white as a binder with my colleagues at Rice University. So I bring up this egg white structure, we pyrolyze them and create this graphene and carbon fiber interconnected structure with highly porous structure, lightweight, and decided to use them. The properties were nice for water purification, we thought, and then we used them for water purification.
People may have some familiarity with carbon filters from their water system at home. What makes this aerogel different from other carbon filters?
This is a great question. The most commonly used carbon-based water filter material are activated carbon, which is also called charcoal. Activated carbon is the powder form of disorganized graphite. And in our structure, we made hierarchically organized multi-scale porous structure that is made of interconnected graphene and carbon fiber structure. And this structure is more effectively acts as a trap to absorb ionic impurities and nano-microplastic on the large surface of the graphene and carbon fiber. And these properties make the surface area of this structure larger than the activated carbon. And the pore size, we have double porosity like nanopores that comes from the defect of the graphene and carbon fiber, and macropore structures that are coming from the interconnected structure. And these leads make this structure, graphene and carbon fiber aerogel structure, different than activated carbon, and it's more effective because of its these properties.
I've read that part of the problem with desalination is the brines and salt left over from the process. How does desalination work here?
Here are functional groups that are on the surface of these structures. These functional groups are acting as a trap for the ions, and this effectively is likely to be enhanced by a system of nanochannel presence in the graphene and carbon fiber matrix. In addition of this, nanopore structures improves this selectivity of ions removal, and this solves these impurities, byproducts, brine, salts. They stay on the surface of graphene and carbon fiber aerogel. Well, so far we have not come up with a solution to remove these byproducts, salt ions, from the surface. It requires more research to come up with a solution to remove it from the surface.
Another interesting result was the ability to filter out nano and microplastics, which has become quite a hot topic of late. How did that part of this study work?
That's a great question. How we tested? First, we got some nanoplastics. They were 147 nanometer and 400 nanometer polystyrene nanoparticles. And we create a solution, and we pass this solution through the graphene and carbon fiber aerogel. And as a result, as I mentioned, 99.99% of these nano and microplastics were trapped on the surface of graphene and carbon fiber aerogel. And we attribute the improvement in the microplastic removal. Specifically, the mechanism in our material is based on strong non-covalent interactions. Mostly these are like pi-pi interaction, hydrophobic interaction. Based on this kind of non-covalent interactions, these structures trap on the surface of the graphene carbon fiber aerogel. And besides that, The pore size also are important. We have double porosity, nanopores and macropores. And these nanopores, they are smaller than these nanoparticles.
That result has some very promising implications. Another thing I was wondering about, with eggs being one of the ingredients, would it be possible to scale without impacting the food supply?
Well, we thought about this, and we start with egg white. And after egg white work, we thought about this issue. This is a food for us, right, for humans. We tried different protein structures. When we tested various proteins, we got same structure with similar properties. And to overcome this food supply chain, we can use commercially available proteins to create these structures, basically, and use them for water desalination or other application.
Can you tell me about some of the other possible applications?
Here we have only studied and created a material that can work like a filter, but to transform that into the commercial product, it requires more work than we have done to date, However, it is a promising start, and we are working, Craig's group back in Princeton, they are working towards scaling and commercialization. And our hope is that we can get there in next few years. We have some work to do in terms of developing the process that will enable us to scale things up to large batch or continuous processing, investigate for other potential applications. This material can be, for example, energy storage, energy conversion, separation technologies, thermal applications, or fire tendency, for example. These materials are stable at high temperature, and they can be used for fire tendency and for energy storage. Right now, we are using graphite in many batteries, and simply it can be used by tweaking their properties.
Special thanks to Dr. Seamus Osden, Adam Eggers, and Dina Headley. For the Discovery Files, I'm Nate Potker. Please subscribe wherever you get podcasts, and if you like our program, share with a friend, and consider leaving a review. Discover how the U.S. National Science Foundation is advancing research at nsf.gov.